Nobody was sure why Vegeta's tail suddenly grew back. Gohan's and Goku's hadn't. Bulma came up with a few theories based on her knowledge of Saiyan biology, but there was no real explanation as of yet. Whatever the reason, Vegeta intended to keep it. It was a marker of his Saiyan heritage, after all. And considering the moon was already destroyed, there was no risk of unexpected transformation. Trunks was admittedly a little weirded out by the new appendage. Gohan had talked about having a tail as a kid once or twice, and his dad had mentioned it offhandedly, but seeing it for himself was a different story. It wasn't so bad when it was wrapped around Vegeta's waist like a belt. Seeing it wriggle around was the freaky part. Trunks thanked his lucky stars that he wasn't born with one of his own. But apart from the new tail, not much really changed in the Briefs family. Vegeta started going off to train by himself a little more, but that wasn't abnormal. Bulma and Trunks would always be waiting there when he came back. It was business as usual. That was until the night Vegeta was late for dinner. The Saiyan Prince was absent for many things, but dinner was rarely one of them. He'd work up an appetite training, then scarf down the food Bulma or some chef had made for him. So that night, Trunks and Bulma sat down for dinner at their usual time. They waited for half an hour. Nothing. They ate their own food, but kept Vegeta's untouched. Another half hour passed. Nothing. Bulma occupied herself with some work in her lab. Trunks went outside to train. An hour passed. Still nothing. "Where is he?" Bulma muttered to herself. She wasn't worried about him. Vegeta could take care of himself. But she hated it when he left her and Trunks waiting up for him. Didn't he know how rude that was? Not to mention the possible damage to her son's development. Trunks needed his father in his life, and Vegeta was unreliable enough as is. "You want to skimp out on spending time with him? Fine," she said. "Then he'll just have to come to you." Bulma exited her lab and went out to the Capsule Corp lawn. Trunks was there, throwing out punches and kicks so fast her eyes could barely keep up. "Hey, Trunks?" she asked. Her son stopped what he was doing and turned around to face her. If only his father was that attentive. "Yeah, Mom?" "You can sense your father's energy, can't you? Could you find out where he is?" "Sure," Trunks said. He closed his eyes and searched for his father's energy. "He's not too far. Flying there and back would only take a few minutes. But..." "But?" Bulma repeated. "His energy feels sorta different. Like it's bigger or something." "Bigger? That was new." "Maybe he's overdoing it with his training out there. Why don't you go check in on him?" Bulma requested. "Try to bring him back home." "Okay, but I don't know if it'll work. You know how Dad gets." "Tell him I'm worried," Bulma said. "And if that doesn't work, tell him I'll throw out his dinner if he doesn't get back here." "Got it!" And with that, Trunks flew off. Vegeta's energy led Trunks to a barren, mountainous wasteland. Not the nicest scenery, but a pretty good spot for training. Lots of rocks to blow up. The half-Saiyan flew around, trying to catch a glimpse of his father. First, he caught a glimpse of what almost looked like a moon in the sky. Then, he caught a glimpse of a giant rampaging monster wearing his dad's armor. "What is that thing?" Trunks exclaimed. He was far enough away that the beast, hopefully, wouldn't hear him, but close enough to see what he was dealing with. It looked like a giant monkey, punching down mountains and shooting blasts of energy from its mouth. He'd seen some pretty big dinosaurs around Mount Paozu before. Compared to this thing, those dinosaurs were lizards. Trunks was certain that he could sense his dad's energy coming from the creature. And it was wearing his clothes. There was only one logical conclusion. The monster absorbed his father! It all made sense! According to Goku, when Buu absorbed Gotenks, he got their vest. That explained the clothes. And that would account for the slight difference in his father's energy. The bigness Trunks sensed must have been the creature. "That thing's got my dad," Trunks growled. He thought back to Majin Buu. His father had died trying to protect him. He and Goten had faced Buu 3 times, and they weren't ever able to beat him. But things would be different this time. He was stronger, and he'd make this monster pay for what it'd done. Trunks approached the beast, floating to match its height. He wanted it to know just who it was dealing with. "Hey, ugly!" Trunks shouted. The monster grunted in surprise. It turned around to face him. Trunks could see himself reflected in its blood-red eyes.
"Trunks? What the hell are you doing here?"
The beast bellowed. It was a lot more articulate than it looked, and it knew his name. Trunks reckoned it had absorbed his dad's knowledge along with his power. "You think you're tough because you absorbed my dad, huh?" Trunks taunted.
"Absorbed?"
it trailed off.
Don't play dumb! I know what you did, and I'm not gonna let you get away with it!
Before the monkey could speak again, Trunks landed an uppercut on its jaw. It stumbled back, holding its wound.
You little brat! Watch where you're punching!
It scolded. Trunks didn't even dignify it with a reply. He fired a barrage of ki blasts at its face. The monster held its arms up in defense, taking each hit without so much as a flinch. Seizing the opportunity, Trunks rushed at its exposed stomach, focusing all his energy into a powerful kick. Again, the beast stumbled.
That's enough!
It roared. The monster reached for Trunks more quickly than he expected. Despite its massive size, it was still fast. Trunks tried to land another hit, but it was too late. He was trapped in the creature's mighty grip. He struggled to no avail as it lifted him up to eye level.
Let me go!
Trunks demanded.
Quit your squirming! If I tighten my hold any further, you might break something.
It said. That got Trunks' attention. Why would this thing be worried about hurting him?
You done?
The boy scowled, but he nodded.
Good.
It said.
Now, what are you going on about?
You absorbed my dad, you big freak!
Trunks accused.
You're like Majin Buu, only bigger, smellier, and covered in fur.
What? Where on earth did you get that idea?
You've got my dad's clothes and his energy, don't ya?
Of course I have my own clothes and my own energy.
It replied. Trunks' eyes widened. No way. It couldn't be.
Don't try to trick me,
Trunks said.
Last time I checked, my dad wasn't a giant monster.
Now the creature's eyes widened.
That's right. You wouldn't know.
It realized.
Wouldn't know what? What are you talking about?
Trunks felt the grip on him loosen. He could probably escape now if he wanted, but thought better of it. He had to know what this thing was trying to say.
When a Saiyan with a tail looks at a full moon, they transform into a great ape.
It explained.
This planet no longer has a moon, but a specific kind of energy ball can suffice.
That glowing thing in the sky,
Trunks remembered.
It provides a boost in power, but it's harder to control. Kakarot and his first son could tap into its power, but the transformation devolved them into mindless beasts. Fortunately, higher class warriors like myself have complete mastery over this form.
It had called Goku Kakarot. Only one person called him that.
You're lucky it wasn't him who regained his tail.
It continued.
He would have blasted you into oblivion by now.
The way it spoke, the concern for Trunks' safety.
Son?
It asked.
Dad?
Trunks whispered.
Is it really you?
As I've been trying to explain to you for the last 5 minutes, yes.
Trunks was released from the great ape's grip. He looked into its eyes again, hoping to see some glimpse of his father in them.
Mom wanted you to come home.
Trunks stammered.
You missed dinner. She said she'll throw it out if you don't come back fast enough.
Something akin to a smile played on the creature's lips.
Well then, best not keep her waiting any longer.
That settled it.
I'll get rid of the false moon first. I doubt your mother would be pleased to see me like this. What was it you called me? Ugly and smelly?
Vegeta chuckled.
I wouldn't have said that if I knew it was you.
Trunks insisted.
You'll just have to make it up to me. When we get back, you'll do 200 push-ups in 100 times gravity. And no Super Saiyan.
Oh, come on!
When they get back, Vegeta eats the dinner Bulma did not, in fact, throw out. Trunks, begrudgingly, does his push-ups. The end.